Hi, I'm Brandon. I play drums in Snow Burial and a couple other bands, and I'm going to be talking about my gear. Starting with the drums. So this is basically an acrylic drum kit. This particular model is D-Drum, and I recently acquired this. You'll notice the sizes are big. I'm firmly in the John Bonham camp, where I believe that drums should sound big and boomy, and you should hit the drums for the most part as hard as you can, and then occasionally soft during bridges and pretty parts, but for the most part rocking those suckers. So what I usually play is a Ludwig Vistalite reissue that's clear, and it's actually sitting over there in those cases. I love that kit. I've used that for a long time now. I used to play a wood kit, and I love the tone of a wood kit, but because these gentlemen are so loud, I was finding that you really couldn't hear my kick or my toms cutting through them. So I said, okay, I need to get a louder drum kit. What's louder, either acrylic or stainless steel? I liked the look of acrylic better and thought it was cooler. And then at that point, Ben had an acrylic guitar, so I thought that would be kind of a seamless look for the band. I picked up this kit because Ben showed me a picture of an acrylic guitar that was pink, and I thought it was the most amazing and ridiculous thing I'd ever seen. So I immediately Googled pink acrylic drum set and found this on Reverb for not all that much, and I said, okay. I slept on it for a couple days to a week and said, all right, I'm buying that sucker. And my intent was to sell the clear Vistalite and then keep this and use this full time, but now I have talked myself into saying that the Vistalite is the Snow Burial kit, and this ridiculous pink kit is the kit that I use for my other silly bands now. So sizes are the bottom sizes, so 14-inch mounted, 26-inch kick, and then 16-inch floor. My kits all have an 18-inch tom, which is down there, but it takes up too much space. I never use it, and I find that I don't need it to get the sound that I want. So that's basically the kit. The snare drum, I'm super proud of this. This is my newest baby. I literally just got this in the last month. This is a Yamaha Elvin Jones signature model that they don't make anymore, and I recently bought this from my friend Eric from the band Seeph, who does a bunch of crazy noise stuff with contact mics. So he had this snare drum for years and thought that he would probably end up breaking it with all the stuff that he does now, but it's too beautiful and perfect sounding of a snare drum to destroy. So he wanted to get rid of it. So before he put it up online, he sold it to me for a friend price. I played this probably about 6 years ago when we recorded this band's first EP. And it was the greatest sounding snare drum I had ever heard, and I had been after one ever since, but they're quite pricey because they don't make them anymore. So I was basically using other snare drums and putting these wood hoops on them to try and recreate the sound. And because we're all tone addicts, I could only get about 90% of the way there, which nobody else would ever care about that or ever recognize the difference, but I knew it. And then Eric let me play this on the last tour that we toured with them, and the second I hit it for the first time, it reminded me of being back in the studio, and I was like, that's the perfect sound. That's 100% of the way there, and I can't get that with the other models that I've rigged up. So I bought that from him. I've been using it for about a month, and I love it. I need to fine tune it a little bit, but basically the way he had it set up is pretty rad. So super happy with this. It's 7 inches deep and it has 10 lugs around it. So basically you get a nice, really fat crack because of the depth of it. But you can tune the top head really tight with the 10 lugs, and I find that you tend not to get a lot of obnoxious overring on it. Where all the sound guys are always making me put like moon gel around it and like deaden the tone. I play a lot of rim shots when I hit the snare as well, so that's why I love the wood hoops, because it just gives a really nice warm tone. Same deal, I like the tone of wood and the sound of wood. The only reason I don't play a wood drum kit in this band is because it's not loud enough, but I love the sound of a classic wood snare with a nice woody, warmy crack to it. So that's the snare drum. People might think I'm a little sacrilegious with what I have on the toms, but these are Remo controlled sounds. They're coated. I feel that most drummers that use acrylic, I could be wrong on this, but every time I see an acrylic kit, it's always the control sounds, but the clear. Again, same deal. I put the coated on there, and it just kind of, to me, almost warmed it up a little bit, so I could get the projection and the volume that I was seeking with an acrylic kit, but it warmed it up just a bit where it almost sounded more like that wood tone from the wood kits that I played. But I've actually had drummers come up to me at shows and be like, why on earth are you using those heads on an acrylic kit? And it's for that specific reason. Same deal, I'm probably the only person who notices that or recognizes that, but it's important to me. So that's what I do on the toms. The bottom are just your standard Remo Rezo heads, nothing special about those. On the kick drum, this is the Remo Power Stroke 3. I tried about a million different combinations on the kick drum, and this is the combination that I like the best. So Power Stroke 3 on this side, and then that is actually a Ludwig Weather King. This is supposed to be a batter head and actually comes with the Vistalite kit on the batter side. I tried this and probably 10 other heads as the Rezo head on the kick drum, and for some reason this one just sounded the best to me because of the little sticker that it has on the front. Just gave it just the right perfect amount of muffling where I got the tone that I was looking for from that. So snare drum, I would usually use a coated Emperor X. This is an Aquarian on here right now. I actually don't know which version of Aquarian this is because I don't use those heads, but that's what it came with from Eric. And I haven't hated it yet, so I haven't needed to change it, but I will change it to the Emperor X at some point. And the same deal, it's just your standard Remo Rezo snare on the bottom side, nothing too special. Cymbals, another thing that's probably a little sacrilegious is you'll look around and you'll see 3 different cymbal brands. So starting with the ride, this is the Istanbul AGOP series, and this is the traditional medium 22-inch. This is probably my favorite cymbal of all time, which is why it's the ride and the main thing that I'm hitting. I believe that you should use rides as crashes because the sound of a crash is just never full and loud enough and does not have the sustain I'm looking for, so I use rides as crashes. In an ideal world, and I had this at one time, I had this cymbal, but 3 versions of it, and it was basically 3 different versions here. And because they're hand hammered and they're all made individually and they're not like pressed or stamped, they were all the same technical cymbal, but they all had just a little bit different tone in them. So I had the same cymbal, but they still sounded different and unique. Because I play loud, I tend to break them, and you'll see these cutouts here. So my friends over at Vic's Drum Shop, when I crack my cymbals, I take them in there and then John lays them out for me. So I used to have to buy a new cymbal every year because I would crack it and it'd be done. And now I haven't needed to buy a new cymbal for like 3 or 4 years. So you can see this one over here, he's got 2 divots cut out of that. So what happened was I had the Istanbuls on here, cracked them. Much like Ben was saying with boutique gear, Istanbul's a little hard to get your hands on, so there's only a couple shops that have them. So if I cracked it, I couldn't necessarily find a replacement easy. So I went looking for more mass-produced things that you could find at like Guitar Center. And I'd never played Meinls before, and someone told me about the Byzance line, and I played them, and it was about the closest that I could get to the Istanbul sound, but in a cymbal that I could easily pick up at Guitar Center if we're on the road and crack something. So that's why the Meinls are up here. The hi-hats, these are Zildjians. These are New Beats. A band called War Brides, their drummer Richie uses these, and we had shared a drum kit one night, and I played these hi-hats, and I said those are the best sounding hi-hats that I've ever played. That's what I want. I had Istanbuls at one point because I wanted everything to be matching, and then I played his Zildjians and was like, that's it, that's what I'm getting. So I bought those. I originally had a top and a bottom, and my friends at Chicago Drum Exchange said, yeah, we'll give you the top and the bottom. You can play them for a while. If you don't like it and you decide you want 2 bottoms, because that's what I thought that I was going to want, they said you can bring it back in, we'll order you the bottom. So I played the top and the bottom for about a month. I said that's not loud enough, it doesn't have the crack that I'm looking for. Swapped it out, they gave me 2 bottoms. I've been using that probably for 5-6 years now, and fingers crossed haven't broken through these yet, but it's going to happen at some point. Pedals, these are Iron Cobra pedals. The reason for this is I was loyal to DW pedals for a long time, pretty much since high school, and then I ended up breaking through the DW plates. They were screwed in so tightly that I couldn't actually replace the hinges on the plates. So I said, all right, I'm done with the DW pedals. I've heard Iron Cobras are pretty durable, and the name is Iron Cobra, so it must be pretty durable. So I picked these up, and that is true. I haven't broken them yet, so I'll keep using them until I break them. The hardware for the cymbal stands and the snare, these are Yamaha. The reason I bought these is because my old hardware, was breaking down, wasn't reliable anymore. Did some research, and Yamaha makes these in the same plant that they make the motorcycle parts. So what you essentially want from drum hardware is you want it to be super durable, but super lightweight. So the reviews on these were exactly that. These are really durable, really lightweight. That's been somewhat true. I'm a tall guy and we hit pretty hard, so I kind of need a lot of room to come up and come down on the cymbals. So I have to put them up pretty high. The one thing I don't like is you kind of get like a lot of play on them like that. But I don't think there's really any way around that. So I've debated changing out the hardware, but it's fine, and I'll probably keep them until they break and I have to swap them out. This is just the Atlas snare stand that comes with the Ludwig Vista Light kit. It's really easy to set up because you have one knob here and you can basically move the tom around in any direction you want. Sticks, ProMark 5Bs. Probably because this is the brand of sticks my first drum teacher probably ever gave me. And I've just never played anything else. So maybe there's other sticks I would like more or less, I don't know. But the familiarity of this brand is why I keep going back to it, because that's what I've played since I was in 4th grade. I tried 5As. I like the tone of that, but I break through them too fast, so I'm going through 3 pairs of sticks per practice. I've tried 2Bs, but it's a little too thick and heavy. I tried ABs, but those are hard to find. That was pretty perfect. But then I said, okay, the ABs are too hard to find. We'll just go up a notch and go to the 5Bs, and that's kind of become my new sweet spot. So you can find these anywhere, and I don't break them as often as I break the 5As. So ProMark's there. It's an older version of an SPDS, so it's very finicky, depending on what DI boxes there are, what cables we're using. So it's about, a 30% success rate it shows. So yeah, I originally bought the pad because I like the band Del Rey a lot, and they have 2 drummers. And much like Ben was saying, with his command center and doing like 2 guitars, I had originally bought it and was doing things where I was programming drum beats into here, and then I would loop those and play those and have those playing, and then I would play another beat over that. And I've toyed around with stuff like that. I've never actually worked it into a song, and I'm toying around with it a little bit for another band that I'm in. That's kind of where that originally came from. But the reason the pad is here now is because it came with some pre-programmed samples that I just kind of started hitting as a joke one night when we were playing, just to be funny, and they like fit perfectly into the song. So the other guys in the band were like, "You got to keep those," and then we plugged more samples into that. So really, this pad serves the purpose to do 4 vocal samples during one of our songs, and then I occasionally plug little bits and jokes and things like that in there as well to like play in between songs. So I should use it more than I do, but because it's so unreliable, we kind of have a love-hate relationship with it. A key portion of the tone would be these rubber beaters. Felt just doesn't do it, and wood is too clangy, so these rubber beaters are awesome. And the flam slams are awesome. It's basically just a little Kevlar patch, a smaller version of what a marching snare head would be. And there's a gigantic difference. If this was a felt beater and this flam slam was not on here, this wouldn't sound anything like the kick drum that I want it to sound like. So yeah, size is important, acrylic is important, but about another 50% of what I love about the tone comes from this flam slam and that rubber beater. And that's about all the other odds and ends I have. Thanks for watching the gear demo. We have our record Ostrava coming out on Prosthetic Records on September 20th. Our record release show is September 21st at Cobra Lounge here in Chicago, and then we'll be on tour from October 4th all the way through, I believe, October 19th or 20th, basically going up through Canada, down the East Coast, down into the South, and then back up through the Midwest. So we hope to see you out there. Come see the kit live, and let us know what you think about it.